Hey guys, it's Artifact. And once in a blue moon, there's a game that just comes out of nowhere and it just transcends expectations. And for me, it was definitely Baldur's Gate. I was not looking forward to Baldur's Gate, I just picked it up on a whim. Just like, well, I'll play Baldur's Gate. Everyone else is playing Baldur's Gate, and I'll fill the time between now and Armored Core and now in Starfield. Little did I know that I'd sink so much time into it. Armored Core came out, and I streamed it trying to chase those views. And then I remember saying, well, now back to Baldur's Gate. And I haven't touched Armored Core since. I remember when Starfield came out on early access, and I'm like, I don't want to pay $70. I'd rather just play Baldur's Gate and finish. And then it came out on Game Pass, and I'm like, well, I really want to finish Baldur's Gate. So basically, I just put the two biggest games of the years to the side because all I could think about was freaking Baldur's Gate. Before I really sink and gush about Baldur's Gate, I do want to get some grievances out because there are some things that bug me about Baldur's Gate. I love it. I love it to bits. But there are things that I want to mention. First off, I feel like I fight with the camera a lot. The first pet peeve that comes to my mind is the camera. Because there were so many times where I was fighting something, especially indoors. Indoor fights were absolutely awful. Feels like you're trying to do one thing and the camera's trying to do the other, and you're fighting the walls and the buildings and your camera's getting stuck on every little corner. That kind of annoyed me. I gotta be careful about this one because it's the ending. The ending. So basically, the whole campaign, it's be careful using your illithid powers or you're turned into a mind flayer. And all I'm gonna say is that the ending kind of locks you into a choice unless if you play it in a very, very specific way. And it just felt like all the effort you go into trying to prevent it doesn't matter in the end. And it felt kind of a slap to the face. If I had one more grievance, I'd say it's not even a grievance, it's more of a regret. I feel like I've spent a ton of hours in Act 1, and I spent a ton of hours in Act 2. Not 2, 3. And then Act 2, I just kind of did Shar's Temple and then ran right to the big boss fight. And I wish I spent more time in Act 2. Especially when you leave Act 2, it lets you know. It's just well, you could have done more in Act 2. The narrator straight up slaps you in the face, but you could have done more in Act 2. But I said a few over a year ago at this point, where I said Ashes of Creation's probably going to be the closest D&D experience you'll have in a video game. I'm going to walk that one back because Baldur's Gate really does nail D&D. It nails the choices, it nails the silliness of a D&D campaign, and it really is good for D&D players that can't find a group or anything because it does scratch that itch, and you can play it co-op, so there's that. The story itself is original, and I really like that it just explores a part of D&D lore that a lot of people just kind of skim over. It's not a complaint anymore, but there were a lot of lag problems when I got to Act 2 and Act 3. but it's been patched since then. But it really does feel like a D&D campaign. It's just a lot of fun. And I feel like choices actually do matter. And they actually do make an impact. Besides of what I said to the ending. The ending did make me kind of mad. You remember those old Telltale games where it'd be like choice A, choice B, but you always end up at point C? This one is wide open. You have your choice on if you want to be sneaky through encounters. You could talk yourself out of encounters. You could just go in and just murder hobo everything. And options are limitless in this game. And it feels like the devs thought of everything you're going to. I remember the first goblin camp where you're like going. I felt so proud of myself because I just shoved all 3 of the bosses into pits. And I'm like, I really cheesed that. And then I'm like, no, that's just Larian Studios thinking. They did that on purpose. It's such a good RPG to the point where it almost killed Starfield to me, right? Where all your choices matter and you get to say everything down to what you say affects the game. As opposed to Starfield where you say something, they say something back. Starfield feels so hollow now after coming off of Baldur's Gate. And I feel like that's why a lot of people aren't fond of Starfield. I'm enjoying Starfield, don't get me wrong. I actually do. But I feel like so many people are coming off this magnificent RPG that we call Baldur's Gate that the juggernaut of Starfield just cannot live up to this. Baldur's Gate really is a David versus Goliath story, I feel like. And we're definitely going to see a Baldur's Gate 4 with the massive success of 3. It actually makes me want to go back and play 1 and 2, even though I know those games are entirely different. If anything, I might go back and play Divinity now. I know for one thing, I uninstalled Baldur's Gate 3 because I don't want to start a second thing. I don't want to start a second playthrough. I gotta actually go to work. I gotta finish Armored Core. I gotta finish Starfield. I gotta watch football. And, I should actually probably do some Ashes stuff in between all that stuff. So I don't want to start another Baldur's Gate playthrough. But the problem is I actually do want to start another playthrough. But I won't. But, yeah. Those were just my thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3. And I just really wanted to just give this game praise. Because this game was 1 in a million. And you probably won't see another game like this until Baldur's Gate 4. This is the end of the video. This is where opinions fly. And if I had to give it just one more praise, I'm so glad it's a D&D franchise that doesn't suck up to Critical Role. It was so refreshing to play something D&D, and they don't shove Critical Role in your face with a bunch of references and things like that. It was so nice. Thanks for watching, guys, and Artifact out.